I don't know. Hi, everybody. How you doing? It's your buddy Uncle Bruce. Cheers, all of you to all of you around the world from your buddy Uncle Bruce from Lugano, Switzerland. I'm drinking Swiss-made Coke Zero, no sugar. They say there's caffeine in this. Uh, I'm drinking Swiss-made. Well, you know what? I don't think it's going to keep me from yawning. It never does. I'm not offended. I don't know what the deal is. How you guys doing? Welcome to the show here. We're we're nearing the end of our stay, Jen and I, in this lovely area, Lugano, the southern tip of Switzerland, I guess I would say. We're heading out in a few days, and we're going to another destination, which you will know on Monday when we're back on the air again. We're traveling over the weekend, and we'll give you all the info about it when we get there. But in the meantime, thank you for following along with us so far. I hope you enjoyed my video on my other channel, Traveling with Bruce. I put a video up, I think it was yesterday morning, all about train travel through Germany and our stops in Hamburg, Berlin, and Munich. It's been an interesting trip for us. We left Canada in mid-May, and here we are now towards the 23rd of June. I mean, 3 weeks plus into June. We've got another 3 or so weeks to go for our entire holiday, and it has been really something. It's different in that Jen and I are not doing the let's go to a city, see 6 museums in 5 days, and take bus tours and go all over the place, because of a couple of things. One, Jen doesn't have the mobility right now, so we're really kind of we're stuck with that a bit. Number two, I'm working. I'm on the air. It's 2:30 here in Sweden or Switzerland, and I'm on the air with you at the moment, and I'll be on the air again tonight at 9 o'clock my time, which is 3 o'clock Eastern time for you New Yorkers out there. So that breaks up the day, and it limits what we can and cannot do. And we're not in a hurry to run around like kids with their heads cut off. We're just not interested in that. So we're just taking it easy, and we're enjoying each of the spots in our own little way. And that's it. That's the way we're doing it. Thank you for hanging out with us. Now, the markets I'm watching them very closely. The economies, the activities in the financial world. I note that the Dow at the moment is up 117 points with an hour to go before we open for trading. This is not what I call a gangbuster sign that we're going to have a great big fat juicy day today. What I see here with the Dow up about 0.4 of a percentage point, and now S&P up 23 points, that's 2/3 of a point, and the NASDAQ up 93.8%. I see a positive opening, sure, if it were to hold, but I don't see this as a continuation of a big fat rally that we were hoping we were going to get when Monday opened up, and we had that 600-point day on Monday. Good up day on the Dow. We gave some points up yesterday. We're up tentatively this morning. We have to wait for Mr. Powell to finish his remarks and his Q&As with the Congress today. And that is going to keep the markets kind of, not doing too much. Oil is off 23 cents, by the way, to 105.96. Not much happening there. Interest rate wise, the U.S. Treasury, the U.S. 10-year note is shooting at 3.1%. It was 3.5 last week and the week before, and that's when the markets took the big tumble. 3.1 right now. We're giving up a little bit of ground because we are not at 3.5 on the actual Fed funds rate. The Federal Reserve has raised rates for the last couple of months, 0.75 of a point last week, 0.5 of a point the month before. We were at 0.25 point, I think, before that. So, we're at 1.5% right now. The 10 years at 3.1. It's way ahead of the Fed funds rate, and it could still slump a little more. we'll wait and see how this goes. The German rate, 1.45%. It got up to 1.8. The Italian rate, 3.4 right now. It got up to 4.2 last week. That caused a lot of concern. So we have backed off a bit on rates. It's not as panicky as it was last week. On currencies, the euro is at 105.1. The pound is 122.5. That is better in the last week than the week before, but not by a ton. So we're calm at this point. I think we're in between a lull here, and we're going to get another drop. Not a dramatic market drop anymore. I don't see 500 and 800 and 1,000 point drops anymore. I kind of see a piddling out of the futures of the indexes, unless we get quarterly financials that come out in about a month from now that are just horrific. But I don't think that's the case. There's pent-up demand for services and goods, and there's a lack of supplies for satisfying the pent-up demand. So as long as that is the equilibrium, we don't have a recession. It's when people don't want stuff that everyone is trying to get rid of at the same time. That's when we have a recession. No buyers, nothing but sellers, and lower prices with unemployment everywhere. Nobody can get credit to expand. Nobody wants to borrow money to expand. Then you have a recession. Then you have a depression. You have an economy in a retreat. This economy is not in a retreat setting right now. It's we have mixed signals. I'll give you that. But the unemployment rate is very low, historically speaking. It's very low. Many of you here, and of course, many of you who watch me and many of you out there, period, have quit your day jobs or are working from home and are going to continue to do that and are not going back to your office setting. So that has happened, and that is going to be the new normal because we like it. We like this new normal. Cars are in demand. There are Americans, Canadians, Europeans who want specific kinds of vehicles with specific kinds of features because of their particular lifestyle and their wants, needs, and desires. And the car companies are having trouble delivering every conceivable kind of model to the world because of parts shortages. And again, this brings us back to is there going to be a recession? Well, there isn't going to be a recession if there are parts shortages. There's a recession if there are too many parts lying around that nobody needs. And then you've got inventory that can't be moved. Now, I will say, and some of you have mentioned this to me, and I appreciate it. Some of the stores that you like to frequent, you're telling me that there's a lot of inventory in there that is on super sale right now, on super discount. It is true that some of the big retailers in the United States are drowning in too much stuff of certain types of stuff, but they're also extremely thin on stuff they'd really like to have right now. And so this is this constant battle to bring in merchandise that the customer wants to buy today rather than what they wanted to buy 2 months ago and finally has arrived. And here we are. And so there are a lot of Americans, Canadians, and Europeans out there who are frustrated right now, not being able to get what it is they want specifically, including cars with certain features on them. The gasoline situation. What's going to happen with this? I don't believe the U.S. Congress, the Senate, and the White House will be able to cohesively coordinate a tax holiday for the federal excise tax on gasoline in the United States. I don't think they can politically pull it off. It's the summer of 2022. November are the midterm elections. All members of Congress are up for election. 1/3 the Senate is up for re-election. The president doesn't have to be elected this time around. 2 more years to wait. There's no way that one party is going to help another party look good between now and November. That's just not, it doesn't happen anyway, but certainly not now. And so if the Democrats are saying, let's have a gas tax holiday, the Republicans are going to come up with some kind of a stalling technique or excuse not to do it. The reality is it's 18 something cents a gallon. It's a joke. It is a joke as to how little money this is when you talk about the price of a gallon of gas in the United States, which is now $5 to $8 a gallon, depending on where you live. And so this 18 cent a gallon was not ever going to save the US economy from a recession. It was never going to save American families from bankruptcy. It was never going to save a farmer from disaster. The tax is so laughingly low, so ridiculously low at the federal level. It has been an ineffective generator of revenue for the government of the United States to maintain its highways. And that's what it was supposed to be for. The gas tax was a way for users, people who burn this stuff in their vehicles, users were supposed to pay their way on the highways, on the byways, and without an increase in the gas tax, because inflation over the last 30 years has made this 18-cent number now so tiny that it is irrelevant. So the United States government is constantly trying to figure out ways to raise cash to add it to the highway bill to help highways and bridges and you name it continue to function properly. So this holiday is not going to happen, and it won't make a damn bit of difference. And so at least, I guess, the White House is going through the motions to put up the notion that we should reduce this tax or give it a holiday for a few months, and it won't happen. But no one can accuse the president of not trying to do something about lowering the gas cost, because he'll have said, I tried to do a 3-month holiday, a measly 90-day break for Americans, and the Republicans wouldn't let me do it. So, and the Republicans will not pay a heavy political price because they won't allow this to happen, because it is such a minuscule amount of money, nothing's going to go on. So, and after it's all said and done, after the elections are over, and in theory, if gasoline and oil prices settle down a little bit and we get back into the $3 a gallon range again, I can guarantee you this: no one in the White House, no one in Congress, no one in the Senate, no Republican, no Democrat, no independent, no one is going to say, you know what we should do? We should raise that gas tax to 60 cents a gallon to reflect what it used to be back 30 years ago when it was first enacted. It represented like a good chunk of a price of gas. We should bump it up now. We should have a system in place where if gasoline prices on average in the United States reach $4 a gallon, this 18-cent tax should really be 40 cents. And if gas goes to $5 a gallon, this should be 50 cents. And if gas goes to $6 a gallon, this should be 60 cents. Because the money coming in from the gas tax will go to the highways, which is what they're desperately needed now. But it will encourage Americans to drive less, because the higher the tax goes, the more expensive gas gets, the more people cut back. And it's good for the environment, and it's good for preserving, and it's going to encourage people to become more efficient. I can guarantee you there will be no one anywhere doing this. And so the system that we have that is in place now will continue in its place, and the funds will be, the funding will not be enough every year, year in and year out going forward, for highways and roads to be properly maintained in America. And there will be sniping on both sides, because Democrats will blame Republicans, Republicans will blame Democrats. Neither will do anything about it except complain about each other to try to get your vote for something that neither party will do. And the morale will continue to deteriorate. The beatings will continue until morale improves. That's the expression, and that's it. That's the way it is. Now in Canada, oh my gosh, there's political talk in Canada about we should reduce the gas taxes in Canada. Oh my gosh. Right now, if you want to buy a liter of gas in, say, Alberta, you're paying $2 a liter now for gasoline, which is $7.40 a gallon if you're buying an American gallon with Canadian money. And if you're using American money instead of Canadian money, you're paying about $5.50 a gallon for a gallon of gas in Alberta. And that's where they make the stuff. Alberta is drowning in gas. I mean it. Drowning in it. Fuel, they have oil everywhere and they can't get it out of the province because there's the blockage of the approval to build the Keystone pipeline over the 49th parallel from Canada to the US. The Biden administration won't allow the Keystone pipeline to be completed across the border. And so 500,000 barrels of oil a day can't go into the US through a pipeline, even though in the States it's all built, it's all done there. In Canada, it's all built. It's just the connection over the border. They can't seem to get the rule through. And this has been since the Obama administration. This has been going on forever. And so there's 500,000 barrels a day that could be lowering the price of crude in the US dramatically. Can't get in. There's another problem in Canada. There's a pipeline in Canada called the Trans Mountain Pipeline. It's been around since the 50s. The Trans Mountain people wanted to called twin it. They wanted to build another pipe beside the first pipe and have two pipelines going through the same exact place. And you'd think that was a declaration of World War III, because every environmentalist stood up and went, oh gosh, we got to preserve the birds. All the tree huggers got up. All the Indian bands went up crazy. It just went stupid. And the project was announced or intended 12 years ago. It was supposed to cost, I don't know, $2 billion to build this extension, this twinning of the thing. Now it's up to $20 billion. The legals, the engineering. The government of Canada bought the original pipeline. They now own it. The government of Canada owns the original pipeline because the owner of the pipeline said, we can't afford the legal costs and environmental reviews and court challenges that are coming up from every Tom, Dick, and Harry across the country. We're just not going to do it. And we're out. And so the government bought the pipeline from the company to keep the pipeline going. And now the government's trying to twin it. The government of Canada is trying to twin a pipeline, and they're having trouble getting it done because of all the lawsuits and all the, we got to preserve the toads. And there's this speckled owl that might go, extinct because we're going to build a pipeline beside another pipeline. And then the environmentalists are going, well, aren't we supposed to cut back and not use as much fuel? If we don't, if we twin this thing, we're encouraging more fuel to go through the pipe to Vancouver, and it'll go on to ships, and this stuff will go to Asia, and they'll just burn it. They're going to put it in their cars and their factory. And so the government of Canada can't even get a pipeline built in its own country, and it's the government. They have all these powers in Parliament they could use to drive this thing down the throats of everybody. Nope, not being done. And so now the latest report came out. Apparently a report came out from an auditor, some kind of auditing entity, a government auditing committee thing, saying that the pipeline is no longer economically viable. Well, that's why the company walked away from it. They took a check from the government, said it's yours. And the government buys it, by the way, turned around and hired the same company to manage it. So it's like a lease back. You own an office building in downtown New York. You're trying to bring money out into your business. So you sell the building to a real estate developer, and then you turn around and sign a 25-year lease to rent the building. You got the money for your building. Now you're just paying rent on it, and you get to keep all that other money and use it for your business. Well, that's what the pipeline company has done. They just sold the pipeline to the government, turned around, and they're now operating it for them. It's so stupid. It's just, can I say, on the one hand, I say, okay, if we're going to use less oil and burn less oil, for fuel and refineries and gasoline and everything else, the environment will be better off. But if usage of fuel keeps rising globally, this goal of having lower pollution isn't being met, and so we're getting worse. And so whatever the arguments are about global warming continue. In the meantime, in North America, there are these issues of $5, $6, $7 gasoline prices, and there are solutions at hand, like you can't believe. Even this twinning of this pipeline, the oil could go through that and then can be diverted from along the pipe down into the States, into existing pipelines that are there that'll accept it. Now you have 500,000 barrels coming from the Keystone, 500,000 barrels of fresh oil, additional oil coming through the Mountain Pipeline. That's 1 million barrels a day coming into the United States from your friends in Canada, your buddies. That would drop fuel by $2 a gallon easily. You'd bring it down to $4.50 a gallon, $3.50 a gallon. You'd have 350 gallon gas all over the U.S. No problem at all. Can't get it done. Cannot get it done. So until the solution is so nationally important, it won't get done. And I'm just amazed at when I see historical television show or a documentary about the Second World War, about the sacrifices that were made by Americans, Canadians, the Brits, the Germans, the Russians, the Italians, the French, everybody in the Second World War. There were worldwide shortages of everything during the Second World War because there was this epic battle going on that had profound implications for the world's overall future. And everyone had to buy into the program, whether you liked the war or not, or whether you agreed with the war or not, or whatever, you bought in. And it amazes me that in the United States and Canada, every adult had a ration card that you had with you at all times. And it allowed you to buy so much butter, so much milk, so much sugar. It allowed you to buy gasoline or not for your car, so many gallons a week or a month. You had to have the ration card to be able to buy fuel. Rubber for your tire. Oh my God, if you had a flat tire, you could get it repaired, but to get it replaced, that was near impossible. It had to be for the war effort. Everything had to be for the war effort. What blows my mind is I saw a series all about the UK after the war years. This was a show through the 40s. This is a show where they took a family of 4 people. I think it was 4 or 5. Maybe mom and dad and 3 kids, and they put them into the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. They put them into different decades, and they would take their house and they would renovate the ground floor of their house, and they turned their kitchen from their modern 2020 kitchen and turned their kitchen into a 1940-45 kitchen. And they sent them out for a few weeks, wherever they had to stay in a hotel. And then one day they allowed them to come back home, but they had to change into 1945 fashion clothing, and they would then be allowed to come into their house. And they would come into their living room, and they would see that they had a radio. that was it. They had a radio. Computer was gone. The TV's gone. There's nothing else there. No computers in the house. No smartphones. Nothing. Then in the kitchen, no fridge, just a pantry. A pantry was where the food was stored. And then they had a stove that was, I believe, powered by propane. Maybe it wasn't natural gas. I don't think it was coal, but it was really basic. And the wife had to now use ration cards to buy food for the family for for the full week. They had to live like this for a week, and every day or so, I think it was 10 days. Every day was 1 year. So the first day was 1940, the next year was 41, the next day was 42, all the way up to 1949. And she was given food recipe cards of what foods were made by housewives at that time. And of course, there were no frozen foods. There's no pre-made stuff. There's no microwave, no mixers, no toasters. Really, it was so it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She had to make for the family to get by, and the rationing was unbelievable. Well, what really blew me away about this series, apart from this whole the way they put it together, was brilliant. But in the 50s, they were still in rationing. And it wasn't until 1954 that England got out of rationing. It took until 54. The war was over in 45, and they won the war. This was the winning side, the Brits. They won the war. And it was not until 1954 that rationing finally ended in the United Kingdom. That meant you could buy all the meat you could afford to buy, the sugar, the chocolate, the milk, the eggs, you name it. You can now go ahead. And yet, most homes in the UK in early 50s didn't have a fridge yet. That came through the 50s. By the time the 50s ended, 80% of homes in Britain had a fridge. So now you could store food in your house, like milk and butter and eggs, more than a couple of days at a time. Freezers were another major invention. Electricity coming into all homes became a big deal for the UK government, so that people could now have electric stoves, electric refrigerators, coffee makers, toasters, a washer and a dryer, or at least a washer, and you hang your clothes out outside. On and on went the modern conveniences of life. After the war was over, I was amazed by that rationing didn't end until 54. Can you imagine today you being told by your government, because of COVID, because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, supply chain issues, hyperinflation, governments have got to take over everything, and all of us are now on a ration basis for fuel. We're limited to maybe 10 gallons a week per car, per registered car. We're allowed one tire replacement every 6 months, so we can replace 2 tires a year on our car. The rest of the time you have to drive with a used tire or repair an old one if you can. Can you imagine oil being rationed? Can you imagine natural gas being rationed? Electricity being rationed to 40% of what you're used to, 60% of what you're used to? Our whole world would stop almost instantaneously. It would be such a sudden shock to our systems because our entire world is so unregulated that we can go to any grocery store anytime we want, buy whatever we want, as much as you want, hoard away all you want to hoard away. Unbelievable. I don't see our countries willing to pay the price that had to be paid by our, I guess, grandparents, because our parents were not war parents. It was our grandparents that were parents of the war. The price that they paid for, in some cases, over a decade on rationing on all goods, absolutely incredible. And there were price controls. There were restrictions on what people could be paid for work. There was no way you could just ask for 20% raise. That was unthinkable. And on it went with a compulsory draft into the military. Training, home front, the Home Guard, the National Guard, everything. It was a complete takeover of our world. And it had to be done because everything had to be available for the fighting men, the guys on the front line, the guys and the girls in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines. They had to have everything to win the effort. And a total sacrifice had to be given by the rest of the country for them to succeed in their objective. And what blows my mind is that in 1940 to 1945, we didn't have jet airplanes that could take 500 soldiers in a 747 from New Jersey to the front in Paris, or fly them directly to Madrid, or fly them to Rome, or fly them into Frankfurt, or fly them into London, and then get them to the front. It was by ship, and it would be 6, 7, 8 days with a complete commercial communication blackout. You had no idea if your loved one made it. You had no idea if submarine patrols that the Germans had in the North Atlantic were taking out troop ships with a bunch of your relatives on it. You had no idea. You did not know. And they were not allowed to tell you when they got there details of what they had been going through, because everything they wrote to you was read by censors. Again, in case the envelope got missing in the mail, got into a spy's hands, or God forbid, one person is writing a friend of theirs news about what was happening in Europe, and the friend back home is actually a spy for the other country. Now all this information is just being handed over. It was a whole different world, and the sacrifice being given was total and complete. And I don't see that happening today. I just can't imagine it. I just cannot imagine it in the Western world. It would be really, really interesting. Anyway, we are in a world that is dealing with difficulties at the moment, supply chain issues, but not because of rationing or anything like that. But it is surprising to me that, 2 years into this pandemic, 2 years plus, we still can't get the Western economies of the Western world cannot get their act together to get chips figured out, to get baby formula figured out. Women's hygiene products are disrupted all over the place. I'm blown away by it. I'm just blown away by it. I don't understand why is it that baby formula you would think would be a very profitable business to be in? Moms and dads will pay whatever they have to pay to feed their child. You would think that the margins on baby formula could be pretty good, and there would be about 15 companies out there producing baby formula into the marketplace, and yet there's one. How can that be in the United States that there's just really only one? I'm at a loss. Has it been the last 15, 20 years consolidation, where there used to be 4 or 5 baby formula manufacturers, and slowly but surely one outfit bought this one and then bought the next one and slowly bought out all the competition, or they ended up with 55, 60% control of the market, and the remainder of the players just gave up and walked away from the business? It makes you wonder if that's true, if that's the way it went. What about the airline business right now? We've got this dogfight going on between JetBlue, Spirit Air, and Frontier Air. You got JetBlue trying to buy up, I think it's Spirit. I'm trying to remember who the players are. I know JetBlue is one outfit trying to buy one of them, and then Spirit's trying to Frontier, or Frontier's trying to buy Spirit, one or the other. And if JetBlue is successful in their acquisition, they will then be the 4th largest airline or 5th largest airline in the country. And that means the U.S. airline business will be dominated by only 5 companies. And you have to know, in the USA, that United flies out of Chicago, American out of Texas, Southwest is Texas-based, Alaska is a Seattle, West Coast kind of operator, and JetBlue is sort of a California, New York sort of based. I mean, look, these airlines can just pick their regions with some international, some intercontinental flights and lots of regional flights. where there will be no competition between each other. The five will literally set their schedules in such a way that it'll be almost impossible for you as a consumer to be able to shop for a cheap airfare from point A to point B, because the point A and point B flight is operated by one or maybe two operators. And the two operators that operate that flight don't compete with each other within a few hours of each other. There might be a flight at 7 in the morning with airline number one, and at 9 in the morning, flight number two, and at 11, number one again, and at 1 in the afternoon, number two. There is no competition in the air for your money. And now you will pay dearly through the nose, because you know how good American companies are at gouging its own consumers. We're experts at it. Canada's good at it. Americans are good at it. Private enterprise is good at maximizing profits. You got to wonder how this is going to play itself out. And yet what blows my mind is that the last 20 years and longer, airlines have been allowed almost carte blanche to merge with whomever they want, however they want. And the regulators are just going, yeah, it's okay. You go ahead and merge, go ahead and merge. And when the times get tough, when we see like the COVID thing happen, or we had 9/11 happen, or we had the economic meltdown happen in 2008. When times get tough, guess who comes hat in hand to Washington for handouts? The airlines. The airlines come to Washington for bailout money, and they get it. They get it every time. It's amazing how many hundreds of billions of dollars have been given by American taxpayers through their politicians. These airlines have been given just gazillions of bucks to stay alive. It's like flying and having a trapeze net underneath in case you screw it up, and yet competition is allowed to be eliminated by the consolidation of these majors gobbling up all of these other airlines. It's just stunning how many airlines have disappeared from the skies over the U.S. in the last 30 years. It is absolutely incredible. And some really high-profile, good quality companies are no longer around. And I don't see Americans saving money. Matter of fact, I don't see the experience of flying on a U.S. airline as a pleasurable thing. Anyone out there do any of you out there love to go flying all the time? I'm sure there are a lot of you out there who would rather not be on an airplane these days because of just how overcrowded they are, or all the rigmarole you got to go through, the lineups at the airports, the security thing. I mean, what a nightmare. How the U.S. airline business has been allowed to get completely screwed up is the most amazing thing to me in a world of 2022 technology that exists to make things easier. It really is mind-numbing to me that this fantastic invention that was created by mankind for people to be able to fly all over the place has become such a terrible experience to endure. It's really amazing. Anyway, there it is. It's nuts. It's nuts. These monopolies are bad. The internet was invented after they broke up American telephone and telegraph. BP, the world forgets Britain was alone fighting the Axis powers for quite a long while. Well, what can I say? UK is still paying back the loans from the USA and world markets after near bankruptcy after World War II, whereas Germany, France, and other countries got the infrastructure repaid for them. Well, that's up for debate, I'm sure. Some will agree with that, some will not. White Feather wishing everybody a good morning from a lurker in the shadows. Olivia's here. Good morning, everybody. Tiff, learn how to write covered calls should be up on your list. I agree with that. I'll tell you, I agree with that for sure. I noticed something interesting today. I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not. I was setting up this show. I was setting up the link to this show today, and as I was doing that, I had to. I wanted to make sure that on the top of the message board that I pinned a message to you regarding my classes, because of course there are classes available on my website that you can go to if you like to learn how to become an option writer. And I had to go to one of my videos from the other day, and I had to. What I generally do is I go to a video that I've done like a few days ago, and I just click on it, and it runs. Excuse me, and as it starts to run, and normally I get a commercial, like you guys usually get a commercial if you watch me. And what I normally do is I skip the commercial and I pause myself, and then I copy my little pinned message, and I pop that into today's show and pin that, and then you have that as a pinned message. Today, I was looking at my channel, and I popped up one of my videos, and of course I got a commercial. And what did I get? I got a commercial about writing options, about how you can write stock options and change your life, take control of your life. And I'm thinking, this sounds awfully familiar. A lot of the one-liners in this commercial are ones that I use all the time on this show. And I'm thinking, I wouldn't be surprised if there are people out there who are copycatting me, and putting out their own little how to write options, what have you. And I'm thinking, well, hey, I know it works. It's just a matter of, can the messenger deliver the message to the student in a way that the student gets it, so that you go on. I guess where I'm probably different than most other providers of information on how to write options is that I'm on the air 10 times a week, twice a day, Monday to Friday, generally speaking, live with viewers and able to answer questions about option writing live as it's happening. And I can also help you compare with these folks here who are writing it, exactly how you doing, how's it going. We can talk about specific stocks in live terms as it happens, to help those of you who are thinking of writing options, give you some advice or some ideas on what you might want to consider doing. Where if I were only interested, and if all I did was promote my classes, but wasn't live on the air to talk about writing options during the market trading, that would put me in the same class as these other folks. But what I find amazing is that before you can watch me live talk to you about being an option writer and help guide you along with the world as it's going, there are commercials running on my channel before before you see me, where there are people out there trying to get you to watch their presentation on how to be an option writer, right off of here. I find it rather amazing. But that's YouTube. That's it's all fair in love and war. I guess I could make commercials and have my commercials pop up in front of everyone else's telecasts and convince people, or try to convince people, to come on over to my website and learn how to write options. And probably I could casually mention that you can also find me on YouTube and come on over here and join them. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. But there are a few out there who are trying, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. Anyway, thank you all for being here today. D.H. Ruda, thumbs up, number 100 today. Thank you. Who cares? Number 104, good morning. Good morning from John Bickman. Tiff, I checked out 5 or 6 other finance YouTubers, which had been recommended to me by the YouTube algorithm. No one talks about selling covered calls. And that I would say is pretty accurate. I would say that there's probably nobody out there. I don't know if there's anybody out there really. Well, obviously there's no one exactly like my channel, but I think it would be very rare to find anyone talk about writing options as a specialty to their viewers like I do. I suppose I might be the only one. Spire pre-market pop, says Robert. And Spire Global awarded $6 million NASA contract extension for Earth observation data. That did come out this morning. I mentioned this on the Gold Bagel member pre-alert. So I was glad to see that. I'm not surprised to see it, to be honest. Am I shocked that that Spire Global got this announcement, this re-up on the contract? No, because I don't know where else NASA can go for this kind of quality work. But 148 on the stock for Spire, 85,000 volume it would appear, and I'm glad to see it do this. I think there seems to be an indication that the stock hit 169 this morning, but I don't know if that's real. It looks like it was sitting around 150, 52 there for a while this morning, a few hours ago. But right now we're 148 on Spire, and I'm pleased about Spire in that they have hundreds of contracts for different entities around the world. They don't just deal with one customer. They don't have one customer that dominates 80% of their revenue. They have got contracts with a gazillion outfits that they monitor this satellite data for. And I think that they operate a lot more like a utility company with many, many, many customers, and the customers all pay them dough. And then collectively, it all just adds up to millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I think that this is the direction Spire will always be going, that in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they will have many, many more times the number of customers they have now. They will have many, many more times the dollars flowing in that they have now, and that they are a profitable company and a very, very predictable generator of a ton of cash flow and earnings. That's where I think this company is headed. Could they be a takeover target someday? Sure, they could. If somebody wanted to acquire a utility type service provider for satellite technology, and they want to add that kind of business to their existing business, whatever their existing business is, perhaps maybe a computer server farm operator or a data transmission company or what have you. I mean, it could be all kinds of suitors. Will it happen? Don't know. When, how, where, what? No idea. I just know the stock's 147 right now, and it is cheap. 148 right now, and this is dirt cheap stock. Considering I think the solidness of this company. I think this company is building a foundation of solid clients like NASA and others. Many governments, by the way, they work for, which means they have cleared a whole lot of security checks. These guys are the real deal. Which of course means if you're already good enough for NASA and you're good enough for the European Space Agency, to name another client of theirs, you're good enough for anybody else. You're good enough for any corporate entity. And so I think that these people at Spire have paid their dues by setting up contracts with all of these government entities. They're now getting renewal contracts, and they don't have to work very hard to convince a private corporation that they're good enough from a security point of view to handle their data. I think if you're good enough for NASA, hey man, what more do you want? You're good enough for the National Weather Service. You're good enough for militaries, which they do work for. I think you're good enough for anybody. And so I would not be surprised if the speed of which Spire keeps adding contracts to their arsenal of contracts improves and increases. It gets faster and faster, so that they will score contracts all over the place from a lot of entities that are going to go, we don't need to check these guys out like NASA did. You're good enough for the U.S. government. You're good enough to work for us. And so here come deals. I think it's coming. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Yeah, here we go. Nazareth. I've not seen anyone else on YouTube talk about selling calls. Nazareth, there was a pop in the pre-market of Spire, but it went back and right down right away. Tiff, Spire only traded 86,000 pre-market. There are not many ask and bids in the pre-market, which makes it volatile. Austin, John Bickman, what's up there? Johnny, Robert, Spire, I hope you're right, Uncle Bruce. I have a lot of eggs in that basket. 3:20 is the time here. I think we're going to be 10 minutes away from opening. We're just about there. We'll see how the markets want to go. I've got GameStop sitting at, I've got GameStop sitting right now at 140.50, up $2.04. And I got the Dow up 92 this morning. It was up 180, 190 earlier today. I got S&P up 21 points. I've got the NASDAQ up 100 points. And crude oil right now is up 19 cents, a little uptick there. All right. John Bickman is saying, Austin, been crazy, busy. My basement had water damage, so I've been tied up with that. Just been popping on quick for a thumbs, and I'm heading out. John, under the bridge is always dry. You're welcome anytime. Sorry to hear about the damage. Welcome all to the show, and welcome all to the broadcast from wherever you are around the world. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. We are hanging in there, Jen and I, despite the odd sneeze. We're okay. We're surviving. Switzerland, just fine. Cheers to all of you from around the world. Enjoying my Coca-Cola Light. Do I miss my caffeine-free Diet Coke? Yes, I do. But when in Europe, you adapt and you go with the flow as best you can, and you just keep right on going. Anyway, welcome one, welcome all. Nice to have you here. Lame Duck is saying that I've seen a few YouTubers that explain covered calls, but your classes explains covered calls better than they do. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. We worked hard on setting up these classes, Jen and I. We started setting them up last year in July. So it's coming up to a year that the classes were uploaded to my website. And a number of the folks who are over here commenting all the time, they've all taken the classes. They were all in the live sessions with Jen and I. And then a number of these folks found out about my channel through the summer and fall last year, and started to watch my daily broadcasts here, and now have started to, or since that time, have taken the classes to be much more proficient at how to write stock options. And it's been very gratifying to see and have had one-on-one sessions with people, these one-on-one meetings that I organize, if you ever want to have a one-on-one with me. And also where people send me emails and tell me, your classes have made a big difference to me. I can't find, people say to me, I can't find anyone else on YouTube that does what you do. You're really the only guy that talks about this stuff all the time. There are other channels out there that are just, they talk about this topic and that topic and that topic and that, and they don't have any flow. And others are just talking about their favorite stocks, or other channels are day traders. You're watching guys trade their own money in the market, and you're just trying to mimic them, or hopefully you're mimicking them and making returns if they're making returns. Where I talk about the market as a whole, to try to figure it out for you in plain English, what's going on and what it means, and also with the option side in a plain English format, try to help you along to become a writer of options and make a living from it with not a lot of an investment to do it. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. You don't need a lot of money to be an option writer. John, laugh out loud, should be okay. Caught it quick and have insurance for it, this water damage. Thanks for asking. Alberto, Uncle, good morning. Bega Familia, let's make this moolah. 8 minutes, Larry gets this game going. We're about ready to start. Lame Duck, those classes are worth $100 each, and that's all you got to pay. You want to watch my classes, they're $100 per class. You can watch them as many times as you want. it's kind of hard not to make $100 writing options. You'd have to be writing like 80-cent contracts and buying them back for 30 cents not to make $100 in profit. But if you wrote an Apple call that has 3 weeks left to live and it's out of the money a few bucks, and you write it, you're probably going to write it for $3.5, $4.5. The odds are you'll probably be able to buy it back for a couple of dollars less during the 2 weeks of shrinkage it's going to endure. And that's $200 profit to you on one contract. I mean, there are people here who watch me who write 5, 10 contracts at a time. And so if you write 10 contracts at $4.50 each, you're bringing in $4,500, you're selling it, and now you're buying them back for $2,500. You keep the $2,000. And if you can do that in 2 weeks, that's $1,000 a week. That's $50,000 a year. Take 2 weeks off. Kind of pays for the $100 classes awful fast, doesn't it? And that's why I find that I do get a number of my viewers who will say to me, I need to have a one-on-one with you, Bruce. I just want to kind of clarify a few terms on how the options are working. I want to run by with you a few of my strategies. And they'll hire me out for 1 hour on a one-on-one camera session where I'm here and you're there, and we'll do this session, but we'll talk live to each other. And that's a $400 cost US for 1 hour. But to get $400 out of an option rate, it's a nothing burger. I mean, heck, GameStop, you can write $1,200 contracts and buy them back for $800. There's your 1 hour with me right there. And that's nothing. Very exciting stuff. I'm excited for you. Good morning from Hector. Hey, how you doing? Nazareth Lame Duck, there are videos on the YouTubes that explain selling calls for sure. Almost all of them frame it in a negative light, though. It's weird. Yeah, I'm not afraid of any of you writing contracts on options. Not at all. Absolutely not at all. Kind of weird how they do that. Lame Duck, yeah, they seem to be careful. I think that there are people out there who've tried to explain option writing, but they don't get it. They don't fully appreciate the magnitude of the kind of money you can make. I find it amazing that, something that hedge funds do all the time, pension funds do it, mutual funds do it, all institutional entities always are doing this, writing options. Banks with stock positions, insurance companies with stock positions, very large investors. I mean, multi-billion-dollar accounts, million-dollar accounts. They hire people full time to write options for them. I mean, there are brokerage firms across the investment world where there are option writing specialists in-house that do this. And here I am trying to explain to you guys, small investors that you almost all are. None of you are $100 million writers of options. You're all small investors. There are people here who watch me that have 5, 10 grand in the market, and they're writing options with that little kind of capital. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to do option writing whatsoever. And you're finding it works for you. It's all relative, of course. Obviously, if you own $1 million worth of Apple, you can write more options than someone who only owns $50,000 of Apple, or someone who only owns $10,000 of Apple deep in the money calls, or whatever level of investment you have. But it's the same game for everybody. It's the exact same deal. And there's some opportunities here to make some nice money on this. Absolutely. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Good morning from Spire. Late, but I'm here. I watched already the Gold Bagel Show. 1, 2, 3 options. Good morning, all. There are lots of them out there because of that, but none of them with the accuracy and depth of confidence in Bruce's videos and classes. Have a great day. Go make money, Alicia. Thank you for those kind words. Alberto Sheet. I had several of his classes and a couple of his one-on-ones. And I will definitely take another one, one-on-one. Just haven't had the time to schedule one here. Tankster and Nazareth, I've noticed that too. They always seem to be hung up on losing the shares. I think they have a cost average above the current trading price. Splitter. I only wait for the first of the month. Until then, I cut away some positions on Diagro Nituro as part of my casual month cash, and then I rock on with Matterport, my first class. Nick, 124 thumbs up. Thanks, buddy. Lame Duck. I need a business class to set up my son's future. Larry Titus, we are open, Bruce. The bells have rung here. Tiff, I just remembered my broker has a YouTube channel, has a couple of good talks about selling options. And Austin, old Lair about to jingle those bells. Lair's done it. Berto, Larry, thank you. We are rolling. Yes, indeed. We are up and running, kids. The markets are open. We're here for another day of trades. Can we make more money today? I say yes. Why not? The Dow at the moment, I'm showing up 105. I've got the S&P indicating a 26-point gain right now, and I think we've got NASDAQ up 100. Let me just double check, though. I'm going to refresh everything here and make sure we're right on top of things here. 121-point gain on the Dow, 22 points on S&P, 97 on NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is up 0.88 of a percentage point, S&P up 0.6, the Dow up 0.5. It's good, but it's not great. It's certainly not bad. But while the chairman of the Federal Reserve is talking today, we really shouldn't see much action today overall. I don't think so. Here we go from Coyote. Thanks all. Good morning all. Jen Doe is here. Thanks, Larry. John Bickman shows SoFi hit 589 already. I got it at 576. DQ, I'm thumbs up 129. Thank you, Larry, for your service to our channel. I got SoFi at 574. I've got GameStop 141.80 up 334 at the moment. That's what I'm showing over there. The Dow I have up 127 now. Matterport up 4 cents to 404. Smart Rent down 4 to 486. Tesla down 68 cents to 707.58. I got Spire up 2.8 cents at 144.8. I got Apple up 148 to 136.83. AMC is up a couple of pennies. ATIP is unchanged. Rocket Lab up 7 to 416 a share. Sixter up 13 cents to 14.43. ME 23andMe up 3.5 cents to 263.5. Pfizer is up 23 cents to 49.30. HPQ is up 13 cents to 33.87. Home Depot up $1.59. I've got where am I? Here we are. I've got Vanik down 20 cents. I got IBM up 18 cents. Microsoft up $2. Goldman Sachs down $1.90. Cisco down 35 cents. Meta Platforms up 55 cents. Amazon up $1.64 to 110.59. Google up $10 to $2,251. And there it is right there. That's our first opening salvos here. We'll keep an eye on all this. The Dow's up was up 109, now up 137. We're getting computer trading programs kicking in now. 137 gain on the Dow. GameStop 140.96 up 250. 140.96. The range on GameStop so far, 140 for the low, 142.50 for the high, and we're at 140.96 right here. Not a lot yet happening on GameStop. Excuse me. Joel Oliva, sorry I'm late. Anyone else get assigned on some GameStop calls? I feel like always getting assigned. I always get assigned at the most random times, Joe was saying. John popped up to it and then dropped right back down to 570. We're sitting at 576 on SoFi, up 16 cents. The high was 583, the low 565 so far today. 1.4 million traded. We're at 575 right now on SoFi. Nick, I covered my Tesla yesterday afternoon. I bought back my short position. I made a profit of $5,989. Then I bought 75 Tesla for $702.15, dumped it just now for a profit of $500, and I'm reshorting 25 at $714 a share, and they're trading at $709.98 right now. So way to go, Nick. You are making money on that one. Austin, why was Spire up 20% pre-market and now it's basically even? You get these odd trades in the pre-markets where there is no of stock available, none wanted. You get one buyer who's all eager to buy. They make the mistake of putting in a market buy order, and they get filled at ridiculously high prices, and they're ripped off, and you get these stupid prints. And pre-markets, you got to be really careful with pre-markets on thinly traded stock. Either way, whether you're buying or selling. Nazareth Joe, I've never had shares assigned on GameStop. Held some for 6 months when I first started, Tiff, because pre-marked data is inaccurate as heck. Yeah, there it is. There's exactly right. You can't trust the pre-market quotes on these thinly traded stocks. Ridiculous. GameStop 141.03 up 257. Wait a minute, we're now showing it at 140.19. Which is accurate? Who's real and who's not? We're going down on GameStop 139.86. We're backing off from the high of 142.50. We're still up 140 a share at 139.86, but we're going down on GameStop right now. It's going back. Lame duck. I got my 110 GameStop exercised. I'm looking to use the money to buy something. There you go. Michael, Apple dip incoming. There you go. Apple right now, 136.20. It's up 85, but it was as high as 137.45. So we've given up $1.20 here on Apple in about 3 or 4 minutes. So it's backing off quickly right now. The Dow up 130, S&P up 15, NASDAQ up 41. I now show Dow up 153. Let's see. Austin. Is Austin going to buy more SoFi today? That's very possible. Joe, Nazareth had some. Joe's saying, Nazareth, I had some 110s on GameStop for this Friday, and I got exercised. It's happened to me on a Wednesday several times. Guess I'm writing some puts for a little bit right now. John Bickman, be back in a minute. Hold down the fort, Jendo. We got it, John. We got it. We're holding it down for you. 145 gain on the Dow, 14 only on the S&P. The S&P's only up 0.39 of a percentage point. The Dow's up 5.1. NASDAQ is only up 28 points. That's 0.24. They're backing off a bit here. These markets, we'll see what's going on. Oil up 59 cents to 106.78 right now. I dream of the day where I can write 200 calls at a time on SoFi, Austin. That will be something else. Spares Powell already speaking, or when is this guy starting? I think it's usually, isn't it 10 o'clock Eastern is when that usually happens? I'm not sure on that. Dow Jones up 157. Matterport down 0.5 penny. Smart Rent down 5 cents. Tesla down $12 to $6.96. Nick has got Tesla going the right direction here. SoFi up 6 to 566 now. 568 up 8. GameStop 139.61 up $1.15. We are at the low of the day, I think, on GameStop. Let me see. Yeah, 139.61 is the low of the day right now. It's still up on the day, but this is the low. Spire 142 unchanged. Apple up 75 cents now to 136.10. It's backing up. AMC down a quarter or 24 anyway. ATIP up 1 penny. Rocket Lab up 2 pennies. Cyxtera up a penny. ME up 4.5 cents. Pfizer's up 48 cents. HPQ up 21. Home Depot up $3.99. Vanek Vectors 172 to the downside, 206.50. IBM up 73 cents to 137.81. Microsoft 253.85 up 72 cents. Goldman down 184. Cisco down 58. Facebook, Meta Platforms down 112. Amazon down 19 cents. Google down $4. Bed Bath & Beyond up 6 cents. BlackBerry down 2. Royal Caribbean down 29 cents to 36.40. Target is up 66. JP Morgan down 56. Costco up $7.95 today. Walmart up $1.95. Nvidia down $2.59. Disney up 36 cents to 93.86. Who else and what else is going on? American Airlines down 19 cents to $12.91. Netflix down 147 to 177. Moderna down 265 to 133. There you go. 171 is the gain on the Dow. It's good. Is it great? No, It's just good. It's good. But I'm not sure if we're going to hold this. If we don't get a big push here soon, we could lose all this and go negative. We'll just have to see how this market wants to go. GameStop 140.49 up 203. The low on the day looks like it was 139.61. 139.61. Coyote saying that I listened to the whole thing yesterday. The Senate questions were pretty embarrassing. They are an absolute waste of time during the workday. These guys should be doing this stuff not during stock market hours. This should be done from 6 in the morning till 9 in the morning, and let the man go to work. He has to be at work during banking hours. These guys are stealing Americans' time. These senators are stealing time from Americans by taking this banking regulator, this top guy, off his desk. Absolutely ridiculous. It is a selfish move for ratings. TV exposure does the country no good whatsoever. These senators, generally speaking, do not know what they're talking about. They're neons. They're neophytes. They have no idea of the banking system. None. Jen Doe, what are the suggestions on writing covered calls today? I can do Apple. I can do GameStop, all our SPACs. What do you think we should be doing? Well, I'll tell you, Jen, you see GameStop doing what it's doing here. At 140, I'd be writing 145s, 150s for the next couple of weeks out. I would be writing 150 on GameStops for like 2-3 weeks and take as much premium as you can get your hands on. It's exactly what I'd recommend you do. On Apple, I'd be writing calls on Apple. It's 135.97. Let's call it 136. Write 138 to 140s for 2 to 4 weeks out, and just dare the stock to come up there. It's not going to do it. I don't think so. Hit offer, throw out calls, take some money off the table here. These gamblers are going to give it to you. We're up 164 on the Dow. We're not going anywhere. We're just not going anywhere right now. I don't think so. Nick covered Tesla. I bought 50 for the long now. Nice going, but Zed Estate, if it is a reverse split for SoFi. If then stock is over 20, we can write options. 10,000 shares would convert to 1,000. Well, obviously, if they did a 5-for-1 rollback on SoFi, and the shares of SoFi, instead of trading at $5.60, started trading at $28 a share, or whatever the number would be, and you got 10,000 shares now, and they did a 5-for-1 rollback, you'd have 2,000 shares, which means you'd write 20 calls. So yeah, you're going to start, right? That's right. I don't know what the ratio is. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if there's going to be a rollback. I don't even know. Gowdy, remind me of what you said yesterday, that it all feels like each senator is using their 5 minutes to try to make an audio clip for their advertisements. It really was specific. That's exactly it. It's exactly, these guys know they have a 5-minute window to theoretically engage in questions and answers. You'll notice that when it's the senator's time, they talk for 4 minutes, and then they ask him a stupid question, and the guy's supposed to give him an answer in 40 seconds. That would really take 10 minutes to answer. And it never gets done. And it happens again and again and again and again. And it's a complete waste of American taxpayers' money and time. The banking, the chairman of his time is wasted. They should be seeing him after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. As a matter of fact, senators should not be asking in public this gentleman any questions about the U.S. interest rates, the U.S. banking regulations during business hours, because every word that guy says can be interpreted positively or negatively by the markets, bond markets, stock markets, you name it. And it can move markets by hundreds of billions of dollars. Fortunes are made and lost by this man speaking. If the senators had a closed-door session with this guy from 5 in the afternoon till 8 at night, off the thing. That would be a lot better. And then release a transcript the next day. That would be fine. Leave the man alone. But they have 2 days for this guy. Every month he loses 10% of his working day because he's only working 20 days a month, Monday to Fridays. There's only 20 business days. The Senators are stealing 2 of them for their own grandstanding. That's all this is. It's ridiculous, Jen. That's great. Thanks, Uncle Bruce, for suggestions. That's what I was thinking about writing the covered calls. Glad to know I remember what you taught me, despite not being able to be as engaged lately. Jen, thank you. I'm glad to see you. Good luck with those. SoFi is going under 5. Alberta won't let it. Adventure with Duncan, but if there's a rollback, don't we still get our $10 a share? No, we don't. Who cares? Who's writing Poor Man covered calls on HPQ? What is your move today? Alberto, Austin, I'm like a ninja waiting to strike. I want it all. I want all of it. Adventure with Duncan, arms crossed reminder. There you go. We're up 156 on the Dow. The markets are subdued while he speaks, while he has to listen to these morons give their little speeches one after the other, and they're all idiots. And the Republicans are going to try to make them look stupid. The Democrats are going to try to make them look reasonably genius-like. And Americans have to just tolerate, as do the rest of the world, we have to tolerate this farce of a show twice a month, every month. It is just an absolute insult to our intelligence that these morons don't know a thing about finance. Yeah, there's some smart people in the Senate. I grant you that. But so many of them are idiots. They're just idiots. What can I say? Maybe we should only elect competent people into office. So that could help. What? That's not an option in the ballot? Oh, well. We got to cross our arms, says Aurora. We just got to cross our arms. What can I say? 156 is the uptick on the Dow right now. Just 156. Now I see 184. So it made a liar out of me right there. Just changed just like that. We're up 18 on the S&P. That's a half a percentage point. We're up 37 points on the NASDAQ, a third of a point. So the Dow is actually leading the market higher. The rest of the market is following along, telling me we're going lower. I think the market actually wants to go lower. And as the morning drags on, we may find the slump begin to take hold. Sorry, but that's the way I read it from out here. The only unskilled workers are politicians. Yes, well, there you go. 196 gain on the Dow right now. It's trying. GameStop 140.58 up 211. SoFi 571 up 11 cents. Tesla 696 down 11. Tesla was as low as 693. Now it's 696. 697 now on Tesla. Smart Rent up 4. Matterport down 1.5. Spire up 3. Apple up 78. 136.13. AMC down 30. ATIP down 2. Rocket Lab down up 1.5. So ATIP is up 2. Rocket Lab is up 1.5. Cyxtera is up 2.5. Make it 24 for Cyxtera now. And ME is up 3.5 cents. That's what we see going on here. Not a heck of a lot. There you go. Austin, I'm protesting today, drinking sugar-free Red Bulls, and I'm not putting a shirt on all day long. You don't have to show us pictures. We believe you. It's all fine. You can't stop me. That's what he's saying. Nazareth, you wouldn't dare. Zed, I have 14,000 US. Should I purchase 100 shares of GameStop and do a covered call right away for a 150 strike 3 weeks out, or do we wait? What do you think I should do? Well, look, if you were to do that, let's take a look here on these options right now. You'd be looking at writing July's, right? So you might want to think about writing the third week of July contracts. That might be the one to do. This Friday is June the 24th. Then we have June the 1st. That's the first one. June the 8th is the second one. June 15th is the third call. That's the one I would look at writing. Now, if you're going to write a 150, GameStop June 15 call, I show the bid ask at 1450 to 1565. So that's about 10% of the value of that contract as a premium. That is incredibly high. And it's an out of the money call by $10 a share, and you're getting $14 to $15. So I'd recommend you do that. Sure. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that right. If you write the 150, take the, I would offer it like 1560, like a nickel below the guy who's selling at 1565. Try to max out your take there. And if the shares in the next 2 weeks back off to 125 or something, 128, that call is going down to $6-7. You got yourself a nice little profit there. Buy it back for $7, sell it for $15, make a profit of $7-8 on the stock. Not a bad move. So there's an idea. Yeah, absolutely. Look, if you find the shares are sitting at 139, 135, and 3 weeks goes by, we have a week left on this contract, your contract is going to be $4 or $5. You're going to net out $1,000 on your $14,000 in less than a month. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, if you had enough to do 5 of these, if you had 500 shares and you could write 5 calls and make $1,000 a call profit in the next 3 weeks, that's $5,000 profit in the next 3 weeks. That translates into some pretty good monthly income in my book. One idea there is to quit your day job and just do that for a full-time job. Okay, there you go. Let's see. Tiff, are you wearing cloth while watching Uncle Bruce? Why are you wearing anything, people? You should all be naked watching Uncle Bruce. DQ, Austin, your mother-in-law is on the way. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is getting ugly. Austin, DQ, dude, come on. I was having a good moment. You ruined it now. DQ. Sorry, Austin. I'm a terrible person. Duncan, me too. I'm sorry. Oh my. I'm no comment for me. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying nothing. We're up only 96 points on the Dow Jones. Maybe a sell computer program came into effect now. I don't know. SoFi 566 up 7. GameStop 139.66 up $1.20. Writing 150s for July. The third week of July would be a really good move. That is a serious $15 a share hit. $1,500 in your account, cash right now, to write a call $10 out of the money. That is good money. That is good protection, good cash, short time frame. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that game. Nothing. Okay. Michael says Mikey likes it. He really likes it. DQ. NASDAQ is red, Bruce. We have gone into the red on the NASDAQ. And look at that. We're only up 4.5. We're up 7 on S&P. We are going to the red here. These are backing off. The Dow's up 95. Okay. SPY, sell wave. So market pressure right now. Duncan Meta taking a hit. Moonamo, I can't do this naked. I'm driving an 18-wheeler. I'm going to keep my clothes on. That's probably a good idea. The Dow is up 100 points. Austin, can we all talk in third person? Let's spice this chat up a little bit. Oh, no. Here we go again. Look at the Tesla, $690, down $18, not going anywhere. SoFi 569 up 9. GameStop 139.22 now. We're only up 76 cents. We're backing off. DQ doesn't like that idea. DQ says DQ doesn't like that idea. Doesn't want to talk in third person. Oh no. Oh my gosh, no. Joe's getting upset. DQ is easily confused. There you go. Not talking in the third person. We're not doing it. No. Oh my. Volume on GameStop here. Oh, 202,000. Oh, are we talking nothing burger here? Oh my gosh. What are we into the day now? 25 minutes in, 200,000 volume. There's no volume here. I don't know how it can even hold this price. I don't even know what's still green. Why is it green? It shouldn't even be green. Might go red real quick. 139.08. It's backing off. On 39.08, up only 62 cents on GameStop. I think we're at the low of the day, aren't we? I think so, Bruce. Hey, Bruce, are we at the low of the day? Bruce, I think we might be. Let's take a little look here. 139 even is the low of the day, and we're at 139.08. We're kind of there. Yeah. Oh my. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Story is that interest rates are retreating a little bit. Let's take a look at the rates right now. The 10-year Treasury is at, can I get it to pop up? 3.04. It is actually backing off. The Treasury is actually down to 3.04. That is a drop from this morning's 3.16 to 3.04. So a tenth of a percentage point drop on the Dow. That's a big deal on the 10-year note. The German 10-year is down to 1.40 from 1.6. We were at 1.64 actually. The Italian was this morning at 3.55 or something like that. It's now 3.36. It's backing off. The UK rate, see if I can get this to come back here. For whatever reason, my computer is acting up on me. But yeah, the UK was 2.47, now 2.30. All interest rates have backed off this morning for whatever reason. The euro has gone down about a half a penny. The pound seems to be holding its own, 122.7 up. It's unchanged. Let's just say it's unchanged. It was down to 121.7. It was almost a penny lower just a little while ago this morning. So it's come back a bit, but okay, that's the deal. Crude oil right now up 8 cents a barrel to 106.27. All right, the Dow's up 118 right now. We're up 31 on the NASDAQ. How long can we hold before we go green or red? Will we go red on NASDAQ? If so, by how much? But we're green at the moment on NASDAQ, okay? We're ahead by 39 points on the NASDAQ right now. Okay. GameStop, 139.47, up 101. All right. Karim says George is getting angry. Austin is pissed at DQ. DQ is sad. Adventure says SMH. DQ thinks Nick should have waited to cover that TSLA short. And Austin was having a nice morning, sitting on the porch, shirtless, listening to Uncle Bruce. Now, because of DQ, Austin is thinking of grandma, and his morning is ruined. Joe, laugh out loud. Joe had an economics professor who spoke in third person. His real world examples always referred to himself. He always held my attention, laughing out loud. Austin wants to know if Nick is borrowing shares or writing calls on Tesla. If you write a call, that means you are short, correct? Duncan, Remax 3 months down 27%. DQ is an influencer. Alberto Austin. Oh, he's laughing. Mikey, don't play that. There you go. Mikey, don't use that number. Don't ring that number. Yeah, Ricky, don't use that. Or was it Ricky? Yeah, Ricky, don't use that number. How do the lyrics go on that? Ricky, don't use that number. You don't want to call nobody else. What is anybody know the lyrics to that? Come on, give them to me. Come on, you know them. Austin wants to know if anyone else is shirtless. Johnny, don't play that either. Johnny is pantless, says John. Oh gosh, corrections. The professor always held Joe's attention. There you go. Don't lose that number. Don't. Cindy says, Bruce, it's not don't use that number. Don't lose that number, Bruce. That's the thing. A DQ knows that Nick is short selling shares he borrows. Austin, John Bigwood, dude, I just laughed out loud. Yeah, Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't want to.
You don't want to call nobody else.
You don't want to call nobody else. If you use it, write it down in a letter to yourself. Send it off in a letter to yourself, says Mark Cherry. Austin's wife was looking at him like he's on an adult website right now. DQ, Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't want to call nobody else. Send it off in a letter to yourself. See, there's the you see.
It's the only one you'll want.
It's the only one.
Use it.
You might use it if you'll feel better. When you'll get home. Something like that. If anyone knows the lyrics, please let us know. Tiff, trying to work while listening to foreign language stream where people use weird grammar. This is hard. Right there you go. All right, the Dow right now is up 222. We've just turned around again. We've gone positive, negative, positive, negative. I mean, what is this thing doing? We're up 222 on the Dow. There you go. SoFi 575 up 15. GameStop 139.56 only. Thanks for the earworm, Uncle Bruce. Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't want to call nobody else. Apple is ignoring Mike and going up. Get 136.96 on Apple. We're up 196 on the Dow right now. You might use it when you feel better. When you get home. Austin needs to confess something. I joined Guy's Choir when I was a freshman in high school. It still makes me cringe. DQ, Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't want to call nobody else. Send it off in a letter to yourself. Johnny likes to make people laugh. DQ, Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the only one you own. You might use it if you feel better when you get home. That's right. Name that song, laugh out loud. I knew it, Duncan says. I knew you'd be playing that. There you go. Steely Dan in plain English by Uncle Bruce. There you go. Great lyrics, great song. That's a Steely Dan song. Yeah. Ricky, don't lose that number.
Hey 19.
Hey 19, another great song. That's right. Steely Dan and what was that one? The jazz, Deacon Blues. Deacon Blues, another great song. And then another one I liked was the what was that one? The college one. Can't remember. No, not Deacon Blues. There was one about the college one. What is this here? Tiff, I just does the entertainment that we could use a bouncy ball to predict the market movement. Austin, song Radar Love with 20 other guys. My dad lowered his head and questioned his fatherhood. Michael, I need Oompa Loompa band in the background. Coyote, SoFi, woo! SoFi's 582 up 22 cents. Go SoFi. Oh, Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the only one you own. Send it off in a letter to yourself. Mike is laughing at Austin. Yes. Oh gosh. The Dow's up 166. That's it. Austin's dad made him join wrestling the following year. Cindy, Peg was one of my favorite Steely Dan songs. Peg, yeah, that was a great song. Peg. Hey 19 and gosh, what was the one with the girl in college? And they've been arrested or something, and the guys go to the cop shop to get him out. Remember that song?
No.
Oh, I got Jen stumped now. DQ thinks there's nothing wrong with Austin singing golden earring songs. DQ is trying to make amends. Michael's laughing. Oh gosh. John says John walks away, comes back to third person shenanigans. Cindy B. My old school. Yeah, my old school. That's the one. Going back to my old school. Never going back. I love that song. Austin still loves DQ. Mike has to get some work done. Mike, we'll see you all later. Jennifer, this chat is everything. I love it. It's everything. I love it. Oh gosh, yeah, my old school. That's a great lyric. Oh God, you know what Bruce says? BW, they just don't make enough movies anymore that revolve around roller skating. Exactly. You could roller skate to Steely Dan, man. Austin will miss Mikey, says Austin. Adventure Duncan. Austin plays red wine. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh, I was just listening to another song the other day I hadn't heard in a long time. By the band. Song by the band. But you think I can remember the title of it? It's where the guy gets arrested for not having enough money or something. He can't afford the bail. Oh, you don't know the something I'm in. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh, you don't. The something, the world I'm in, or something I'm in. Can't remember the name of that song either. Oh man, Nazareth is just a caveman. This new weird chat scares and frightens me. There you go. I remember the licks. Like I know the music and I know the guitar solos, but I'm terrible with the words. Jen knows the words. I don't know the words. The Shape I'm In, Cindy, that's right. The Shape I'm In by the band. That is a great song. Jethro Tull, the only dude that could make playing the flute cool. Dreamweaver, Gary Wright, a great song. Great song. 1977, 78, something like that is when that one came out. If I kind of recall, maybe 79, something like that. Dreamweaver, yeah. The opening of that song is fantastic. And the closing, it's the same. It's exactly the same. Really cool. The Shape I'm In. Are we done with third person? Okay, Austin is done, says Austin. Are we done with third person? Gabe's up 140.73, up 227. The Dow's up 155 right now. There you go. Oh my. There's another song I loved for the lyrics. It was Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits, and the line was something like that. Well, something along the lines that says, two of them said they were Jesus. One of them must be wrong.
The Sultans of Swing.
The Sultans of Swing. Oh, yeah. Love that line.
They didn't say they're Jesus.
Yeah, two of them say they're Jesus. One of them must be wrong. BW. Bruce, how did your dad handle owning a music shop when the synthesizer craze went nutso at the end of the 70s and the 80s? Hang on a second. DQ is not done. DQ is stuck in the third person now. DQ is easily confused. John Anderson, I need more cowbell. DQ, Sultans of Swing. Gaeta, we are the Sultans of Swing. How did my dad handle owning a music shop? You know what he did? He brought them in. He would bring in the darn things and sell them. That's how he handled it. Whatever direction the musicians wanted to go, my dad would just bring in the musical item and offer it. And of course, if a musician came in and said, hey, I want to order a Moog synthesizer, blah, blah, blah. My dad had the catalogs in the store of all the suppliers. So he'd open up the catalog, find it, and say, "Oh, okay, this here it is right here. Here's a picture of it. Here's a description of it. It'll run you, it retails for $850." And what he would do is he'd make a phone call to the distributor and see if they had one in stock. And if they did, he'd find out how long it would take to get it in. And he'd say to the musician, "I can have one in here 6 days from now if you want it. He's got to prepay for it. I'll bring it in." And the from time to time, the young man would say, "You're on. I'll be back in an hour with the dough." And the kid would go to his bank and withdraw the money, come in, or he would need the money. He'd have like half the money, he'd need the other half. My dad would send him to Household Finance. Do you remember a company called Household Finance? There was one of those about 4 stores away from us. There was on King Street in Kitchener, Ontario. There was a Household Finance Center, and my dad had in his music store household finance loan application forms, and they'd fill one in at my dad's store. He'd fill it in, and the young man would write down his address if he had a job. Usually they would, and all the info they needed, all of his, write down all of his credit stuff, and then my dad would take the carbon out and give him the whole form. And the guy would just walk it 3 stores down to the home household finance office, hand it in. Within an hour, we'd have an answer whether he'd get the loan or not. And my dad would get a phone call from household finance. "Yeah, hello, Mr. Furman. Mr. So-and-so wants to borrow $450. Yeah, he's good for it. We'll have a check for you within an hour for $450. Send him over to sign the papers." And so the kid would go over, sign the contracts to borrow $450 for a year at $40 a month in payments or whatever the heck it was. And the household finance guy would come over an hour later with a check payable to my dad's music store for the loan. And my dad loved it because it was instant cash. The check never bounced. Household loved it because here's a retail store writing up loans right down the street. These are the old days. This is the 70s, man. That's how it was done. John Bickman, funny chat today. Going to get some work done, then take my youngest to swim practice. Duncan, Mr. Roboto, remembering the desert moon. Dennis DeYoung, BW, always business. Your dad, that's a good old business owner, changing with the times, even if he didn't understand it. Coyote, your dad owned a music shop during some very interesting times. Yeah. What was Bruce in Guy's Choir? Is that what sucked Jen in? No, DQ. DQ stands corrected. The Dire Straits song is Industrial Disease. That's another good one. Another great song, Industrial Disease. Yeah, I remember the old days in the 70s. Back in the 60s, my dad extended credit to customers. So a guy would want to buy a $500 Fender, whatever. He'd have $150 cash, maybe a trade-in for $100. He'd have $250. My dad would give him credit for the other $250, and the guy would write a series of post-dated checks for, say, $50 a month for the next 10 months or 11 months. My dad would work out either a zero-interest deal or make 11 payments for 10 payments worth of debt. And he'd have these checks, and the 15th of each month, or the 1st of each month, or the 21st of each month, he'd have like 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 checks he'd have to pull out from his Rolodex. He'd have this file full of all these files. Each one would be one customer. And the 15th of each month, or whatever it was, he'd have these checks post-dated, and he would pull one out, write down on his ledger that he made a deposit for Mr. Jones towards this, invoice number so-and-so. And the checks would go in, and we'd cross our fingers and hope that over the next week, none of them would come back. None of the checks would bounce, and a good month, you deposit 20 checks for like $1,500, and they all cleared, and the boys were good for their money. And so my dad had some of his customers who always owed him money, but they never bounced a check on my dad ever. But then he had the odd guy who, yeah, the third check bounced, and now he can't find him. He can't find this guy. He's not coming in the store anymore because he knows he bounced a check on the store. And so my dad, of course, would ask around with the other musicians, hey, well, you seen Charlie lately? I haven't seen Charlie. Oh, yeah, Charlie broke up with his girlfriend, and she kicked him out, and he lost his job. And, well, get Charlie to call me. Maybe we can work something out, and inevitably, from time to time, Charlie would come into the store and hang his head real low, and he'd owe my dad $300, and he had no money. And so my dad and Charlie would make a deal. My dad had to come up with some form of a solution, and the guy might not play music anymore. So my dad would say, well, why don't you bring back the instruments that you borrowed against, or since you're not going to play anymore, bring back your amplifier and your guitar. We'll sell it for you on a consignment basis, and we'll throw your credit, your money against your loan, and whatever's left over, I'll just give you in cash. And the guy, you do that for me? He says, sure. So in comes Charlie with this stuff, and we'd clean it up, and we'd clean the bass guitar, put new strings on it, and tune it right up, and we'd have his equipment for sale. We would be motivated to sell his stuff because it would be money into the house that the house was due. And that's how it would go. We occasionally would have a customer bounce a check, and before we could call the guy, the customer would come into the store, and he'd say, apparently, my post-dated check 3 days ago bounced on you. Here's the cash for the check, and here's $20 for the cost of the bounced check. I want to make good, and next month's check won't bounce. And those guys, my dad loved those guys. Oh yeah, those guys could always come into the store, and some guys had revolving accounts. Well, they would be allowed to charge up to $1,000 on their account, and they were paying my dad $100 a month, just $100 every month. They'd just give him $100 a month, and so they'd be down to $800, and they'd buy $80 worth of stuff and add it to their account. Now they'd owe $880 again, but they're paying us $100 a month. And 3 months later, the guy's down to $600 and something bucks, and he'd come in and pick up $100 worth of stuff, and constantly revolving over. These guys made my dad a fortune, but these were working musicians that had cash flow, and they were always flowing cash. Every weekend, they're playing rock and roll at some bar somewhere. But eventually, my dad got out of that business and turned it all over to household finance and let them take the risk. And then eventually credit cards replaced everything. And now they had instant credit with their credit cards. Amazing. Those are the days. Two men say they're Jesus. One of them must be wrong, says DQ. That's it. Duncan, they did the same thing in liquor stores. Cindy, that was very smart of your dad. Alberto, BA, dropping. Thank you. Arms crossing instructor. I believe I've mastered the arm crossing. Almost back from a humongous loss. Way to go, Alberto. Mike has completed his tasks. Mike's job is too easy. Yeah. The Dow is up 97 again, only 97. Well, we were up, 240 points 20 minutes ago? SoFi 580 up 20 cents. GameStop 140.18 up 172. Yeah, retail in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s changes all the time, always changes. And you as a retailer had to adapt to the ongoing market. And my dad's thought was by extending credit, he would extend loyalty. And in most cases, it worked. These guys that my dad would extend credit to, they couldn't get a loan for a pencil anywhere else. And yet this music store owner would give them credit against a guitar or an amplifier or a set of drums, they remained loyal to him, and they would bring their friends in. That was the other thing. They would say, you come with me. You want to buy a new guitar? You buy it over here at Dressler's Music Center, because that guy is the real deal. And in would come these guys from friends, and the referrals would come in. So my dad's business grew that way as well. Plus, we had the inventory, we had the accessories, we did repairs. If we could do repairs in the store, we did them in the store. Otherwise, we'd ship amplifiers to the manufacturers. They do repairs, and we'd pick up and deliver. We did whatever we had to do to make it work. It was not an easygoing business where you just sold stuff and that was all there was to it. Sales and service was what it was about. And these musicians, we get a guy come in on a Friday afternoon and he has a gig in 5 hours, 100 miles away. He's got to drive out of town and his amplifier isn't working. And my dad had a guy who could repair electronics on site. And so downstairs would go that amplifier, and it would be figured out. It would be a tube, or it would be wiring, or some kind of a short, or a switch is out. We'd replace it, and it would be like a $35 repair job. And the guy didn't have the money. He's got a gig tonight, but he doesn't have the money. But he'd be by tomorrow. He would play the gig, and the next day he'd show up with the $35 because he got paid $80 last night. And were these guys loyal to the shop? Yeah, they were loyal because they knew who buttered their bread. We took care of these guys. And so the reputation got around that, if you're a musician, you went here. You definitely went here. Oh, man. Let's see here. Austin welcomes Mike back, says Austin. Mike, seriously, though, what is Guys Choir? Is that a real thing? A Guys Choir? Cindy, today my husband closes his 105 family business. They started selling Atwater Kent radios. Oh, 105-year-old business. Oh, my God. Michael, my dad would have beat me. Cindy B, 105-year-old business. DQ, translation, Mike's dad would have beat Mike. Dylan, welcome, Dylan. Bruce, are the Wednesday night videos not a thing anymore? I haven't seen them in a while. I can't do a Wednesday night video Eastern time, like say 9 o'clock Eastern, because that would mean I'm doing it at 3 a.m. in Switzerland, where I am. So no, so while we're over here, I have to hold off those shows until I get back to North America, when I'm conscious to do the shows. Otherwise, I can't do them right now. Michael, you can't even lie and say, I did it to meet girls. Austin. I mean, Guys Choir, you can't do that to me. No, Austin learned his mistake after 1 year and became captain of the soccer team. Oh, no. Household Finance. I have not heard that name forever. HFC. Household Finance. That's right. DQ. At least Austin can determine DQ and Mike under the bridge. Mike thinks Austin has been called the songbird of his generation. He was the singing captain of the soccer team. He was the best singer on the team, dribbling down the field with the ball, singing away. It's great. 151-point gain on the Dow. Yeah, I remember there were times where I'd come into the music store at after school on a Friday. I'd show up at like 4:30, and I'd work until 9 o'clock to close the store up for my dad. And the first thing that you do is you go to the cash register, and you put the key into the register, and you hit what's called the X button, and you crank it. This is a mechanical thing, and it would show you how much money had been brought into the store today. What are the sales at? And you come in expecting to see anywhere from $100 to $500 of sales. This is 1972, 73. You're looking for $400 or $500 in sales, and if you could add 100 or two, you have a $700 day on a Friday. Rock and roll, because the rent was $600 a month. course, this is the 70s. We're talking about 50 years ago. So you come in and you check out the total and you see, whoa, $1,500 day. Like, what? Well, the next thing you do is you'd go over to the counter where we had a little invoice machine. It was a mechanical thing filled with 3-part invoices. And whenever we sold something over $5, we'd write out an invoice. And we'd had on the top of the invoice would be the brand, our logo for the store with our address and telephone number. And then we'd put in today's date, and we'd write down cash or Visa or whatever, and then write the item down that was sold. And we'd give the original copy to the customer in the bag with the item. The second copy and third copies would go into the unit itself. And at the end of the day, we take all these out, take them to the back, match them up with Visa chits and checks and all that stuff. Anyway, it helped us keep track of our inventory. I'd go to that machine and I'd pull out all the receipts and find out invoices. What created 1,500 in sales? And we sold a Fender Stratocaster for $699, and we sold an amplifier for $500, $1,200 sale. Wow! And then below it would say HFC. We'll go, household finance. So put that back in. And I go to the back of the store and talk to the manager and say, had an interesting day today, didn't you? And sure enough, we talk about the sale on HFC, because he would have filled out the form for an HFC loan, and that would have gone to the office down the street. They would have approved it, and the sale would have gone through. And then in the till under the cash drawer, if you lifted up the cash drawer, there would be a check in there from HFC for $1,200, whatever that loan amount was in there. And we just going, this is a good day today, because we would have margins of about 40% on a sale of that caliber. So a $1,200 sale, we'd net out about $480 profit on that. The rent for the month was $600. So there's a good day today. That was a good week today. So didn't mind those. And so we were actively promoting HFC to our young guys, because they could arrange 1 year, 2 year, 3 year loans on these amounts. In those days, HFC would lend you $2,000, and you could take 2 years, 3 years to pay it back on a monthly basis. And so for us, it was just a one check shot. It's all it was. It was just a one shot check. No, we didn't have to worry about the payments. I'll tell you, that was good business way back when. Instant approval. What an hour. Of course, the HFC, they would call the employer that the guy said he worked for. They'd call the employer and say, is he a good employee? How long has he been with you? He's thinking of borrowing a couple of $1,000 to buy something. Do you think he's good for the money? Like, is he about to get fired? Oh no, he's a good guy. He's my manager, or he's the hardest worker I got. I'm not firing this guy. He's all right. Our business is doing great, and all that stuff. And so it would be a calculated risk whether the loan would be granted on the spot at that location. Those days don't exist anymore. Well, that world doesn't exist anymore. DQ just got a mental image of Austin dribbling and singing Radar Love in context. Last guy to pass. Here I go. I'm off sides. I ran too slow. Austin has to take his wife's car to the mechanic. Austin wishes everyone well. Fathers, keep your kids away from guys' choir. Austin is out of here. DQ says later, Austin. Michael is left. Alberto, got to roll, Bagel Familia. Have a great, prosperous afternoon. Make that moolah. See y'all later, although I can listen to Uncle all day. I got to go to work. Coyote, 360,000. Boy, I'm on GameStop. Nothing. Thanks. I worked at a local grocery store when I was a kid. We would let people purchase on a house charge account. It was interesting. Yes, Michael, no one is selling it. Alberto, Coyote gonna drop, not the moss. Laughing out loud. Coyote. Spire Global gets 6 million contract extension from NASA. Exactly. We're up 96 on the Dow. Matterport is up 3.5 cents. Smart Rent up 1.5. Tesla up 20 cents. 708 now on Tesla. SoFi up 22 to 582. GameStop 140.63, up $2.17. Spire is up 2.5 cents to 144.5. Apple up 125 to 136.60. AMC is down 33 cents. ATIP is up 1 penny. Rocket Lab down 2.5. Sextera up a dime. ME up 9.5 cents. Pfizer up 56. HPQ up 5 cents. Twitter up 22. Home Depot up 3.23. Fanuc down 75. IBM up 90 cents. Microsoft up 3.27. Goldman down 58 cents. Cisco down 53. Meta Platforms up $1.50. Amazon up 148. Google up 10.94. There's your day. There it is right there, up 115 on the Dow. Coyote Alberto, it should drop, but apparently won't. Level of 360 volume in this market. Hey, Joe Olivia. Hey, Joe was in Guy's. Joe was in Guy's choir. Joe just realized Joe was a late bloomer. So yeah, Joe agrees. Keep them away from the Guy's choir. Oh gosh, guys, I'm done for this morning's show. Thank you for joining me. All about the Guy's choir and talking in the third person, and song titles. Thank you for the lyrics assist on the song. Don't lose that number, Ricky. Don't lose that number. Thank you for the assist on that and all the other titles. Have a great rest of your morning. I'll be on this afternoon with an hour to go, 3 o'clock Eastern. We'll close the market out, see what's going on. Right now, 140.73 on GameStop, up a little. Yeah, the Dow's up 117. Chairman is stuck in front of those congressmen, senators, whatever those morons are. Poor bugger. Anyway, there you go. Everyone, we'll see you a little later. Thank you all for this. Alberto, see you later. Thanks for our short, angry, balding, personal greatest of all time, Uncle. Have a good one, guys. Take care, and we'll see you this afternoon at 3 Eastern. Bye for now.